even with no experience, I could tell that this guy was so horrible. It was so bad. Actually, in comparison to the other lady that we called,
yeah,
she was like very energetic, like willing to answer questions. She just said everything right.
Yeah. Get ready for the next iteration of you on your path to becoming wealthy. On this show, you'll get the insider's view on wealth creation, the class none of us got taught in school, with my co-host, daughter, and beginning investor, Sophia Bosch. And now, let's get started.
Welcome to the Becoming Wealthy podcast. I'm your host, Sophia Bosch, and I'm here with my co-host,
Michelle Bosch. And we are discussing in today's episode how to tell a good realtor from a bad realtor. I know about a week or so ago, we had an episode where we went through the process of how we, found a realtor. So just to recap, Sophia, what did you do in order to narrow in and basically have your top 3 that we were going to call to get our land, our 5 acres in Maricopa County listed?
Okay, so basically I circled an area on Zillow, the area where my property is in, and then I go to the solds, see in the last 24 months or so, and I go through all of the listings and put it into a spreadsheet, see how many times each person, or like in the description it shows who was the selling, or like
the selling agent and the buyer's agent. Yeah.
And you copy and paste all of those into a spreadsheet, and you basically see how many times each person comes up. And we found that about 4 or 5 people came up the most. And then we narrowed it down to the top 2.
How many listings did you go through?
I went through about like 100.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, so it took you a little bit.
Yeah,
then.
it took me a second.
But I think it was worth it, because then we came down to 2 names.
Yeah.
And actually you called them both. One of the first ones you called with your coach.
Yeah.
With one of your coaches. And what was the experience when you guys called, that first gentleman together? Excuse me.
Take note that I've never talked to a realtor like in a professional like that setting. So we called him up. This man, even with no experience, I could tell that this guy was so horrible. It was so bad.
Okay, so what was it? So you call and you say, well, hello.
Well, the dude didn't even ask for like a name, like for the other person on the phone. Like you would usually say like, oh, hi, what's your name? Didn't ask for a name. When we were asking about like, what can we put on the property? He was like, oh, I don't know. You need to do your own research.
So basically you were calling him on an actual listing that he had for sale in the area. So it was his listing, and you were asking him whether you could, what use you could have for the property.
Yeah, we basically tested him a little bit.
And so that was the first question. You asked him about whether he could put an RV. He said, what did he say?
He's like, you'll have to figure that out on your own. Like, go to whatever website and just, you look it up.
Yeah.
And even though he's been coming up for years also, I checked, like, the 48 months, option. He's been coming up for more than, like years. And, in the fact that he doesn't know, or he doesn't care to know, should tell you
especially if it was his listing, you would expect him to know. Absolutely. So that was one thing that was a red flag. What was the next red flag?
The next one was probably he just kept like shutting down our questions. Like he's like, oh, I don't know. You need to go to the county website now. Not like the subdivision or whatever website. Now it's the county website. And he was also really like not there, present, like very mellow, like very passive aggressive also, like Not a nice dude.
Okay, so basically his energy wasn't there, which
No.
means that just like he was treating
You could tell he couldn't care less.
yeah, just like he was treating you as a potential buyer, basically for that listing, that's how he would be treating your potential buyers if you were
That's
to list the
horrible.
property with him. And that would be a
That's
horrible experience.
horrible.
Yeah, that would not get your property sold, or maybe he does, but it would take a little bit and not the time frame that you're looking for.
And maybe he was better in the past, but right now,
There was
I'm pretty sure I didn't catch him on a bad day.
yeah, there was another question that you had asked regarding either the subdivision or amenities in the area, and then he sent you. Where did he send you? He sent you someplace else as well, to a website.
I don't even know.
Yeah, a public website. Did he take your phone number?
No.
So he didn't ask your name. He didn't take your phone number. His energy wasn't there. He wasn't very cooperative in answering any of the questions. He was dismissive, and it sounded like he wanted to get off the phone.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it, right?
Yeah. We were also calling him at like 5 p.m. on a Tuesday.
Well,
so. But he should be available.
Yeah. Actually,
in comparison to the other lady that we called.
Yeah. So the thing is that, most realtors, their clients, whether it be on the seller side or on the buying side, on the buyer side, most people have jobs, they work. So actually off hours are the peak active hours for a realtor,
Right.
That's when people that are either sellers or buyers are going to be contacting them. And so they need to be used to being, in full force and effect off hours. So even if it was a little bit after 5 p.m., I think that doesn't make it excusable. It was bad. Okay, so that was the first experience, and then you right away you knew, okay,
no,
that's not it. So then
we go for a second option.
So then you went for the second option, and what was and the second option was actually a lady. And tell me about the experience with her, because.
Oh, a million times better.
So I remember, because this is a call that we actually made together.
Yeah.
We found her phone number on LinkedIn. We called, but her inbox was full. So then we thought, okay, so that means
she's a busy lady.
She's a busy lady, and she must prefer being contacted by email, because everywhere else in her listings, it was all her email that was there. So we sent out an email, and what did we say in that email, Sophia?
We basically told her, or like we included a screenshot of like the property. We included APN number, legal description, where like the major crossroads, whatever. We included our opinions on what we would sell it for, or but we're like, what do you think? Very nice, polite.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So basically, it was an email where it said, hey, so-and-so, we found you on Zillow. It seems like you're the gal that dominates this area in Maricopa County, and we are looking to sell a property that we owned. It's owned in this, in this LLC. And we're looking for a quick sale, ideally within the next 30 days. This is what we're thinking of pricing. It's on a road. It has physical access. There's no washes on the property,
Or
versus,
at least
yeah,
that's what we can tell.
Yeah, that's what we could tell from the aerial. And we would love to get it listed. And, we see that you are the only woman in that area. We did mention that we see that you're the only.
Kept coming up.
We see that you're the only woman in that area that is selling.
There was a couple others, but they didn't come up. Like they came up probably twice in the 100 listing.
In the 100 listings.
So it's not. I'm not even gonna.
Yeah. So we sent out the email, and then what was her response time after that email?
Fast. Like probably like an hour or two.
Yeah. Within an hour or two, she had responded, and she actually followed up not just with an email, but also with a call. And what happened during that call?
And then during the call, it was like night and day between the first dude and her. She was like very energetic, like willing to answer questions, making sure she knows, or she tells us that she does have interested buyers, whatever, like a buyer's list, like she just said everything right.
Yeah. So
Her energy was much higher, you could tell she was a very hardworking, like very.
Yeah, she's hungry, basically, and driven. Absolutely.
She's driven.
She was driven. Yeah, she is driven. We're still working with her. And one of the questions that we had for her was like, okay, what's the strategy that you're going to take in order to be able to help us sell this property fast? And some of the things that she said were, well, I have a system for it.
And she's like,
yeah,
that is true. She said I have a clear system that I follow.
And then she went and proceeded to explain to us what that system was, which included also, her being very active on TikTok, on YouTube, that she sends postcards as well, that she had an active buyers list.
That when she posts it on like LandWatch, and land.com, she pays for the listing to be at the top.
She pays extra, yeah.
She pays extra to make sure that catches someone's eye.
Yeah, that was amazing. And then when we were talking about pricing, we came in with a little bit lower expectation, but then she believed, what did she say? Yeah,
like she used examples with a property that she was selling currently right now. How one of her clients put it for 50 or something.
49,000.
49,500. Yeah, exactly. And then she found an interested buyer that maybe that was too much, but then she found another person for it at 36. And they're like, okay, that's doable. We had come in as
substantially
lower, and she was but she says she's confident in being able to sell it for 36, 37, somewhere in that range.
Yeah, and we agreed that if after 10 days we wouldn't see as much interest, that we would drop down that price, and she was, very open to that, which I love that. We also talked about the possibility of using seller financing, which was, a preference for us.
In her bio on LinkedIn, I had seen that one of her specialties is selling land with seller financing.
Yeah, and we talked about, some of the terms. What were some of the terms that we discussed with her?
So commission,
but also the terms of the sale.
The terms of the sale. So. How long the note would be.
Yeah, we talked about whether it be 5, 6, or 7 months.
I think it was months.
Yeah, years. I'm sorry,
okay.
5, 6, or 7 years, and we actually ended up agreeing on 6 months.
6 years.
I'm sorry, 6 years. I'm like trying to say months. 6 years, and a monthly payment of a little bit over $500.
Yeah, and then we agreed on interest rate. Because the whole property, we're trying to sell it at a higher price now.
Yeah.
We're gonna
with a
little bit lower interest rate.
Yeah, slightly lower than we had originally expected, but we made, quickly the calculation with Sophia that if we get a higher price, and we have an extra year versus, instead of 4 or 5 years, but 6 or 7 years of the length of the note, that basically the cost of credit to the buyer would be very comparable, at that lower interest rate. So we were happy with that. And so then what happened?
We talked to her a little bit. She asked us why we wanted to sell it very quickly, because she has like sometimes older couples or something that will wait for the price that they want and will not drop it. And she's like, what? She's asking us, is there a specific reason for the urgency?
And what was our urgency?
Well, our urgency is we we want to take that money and put it towards college tuition and start putting it away, which is
and part
true.
of the down payment, whatever the proceeds from the down payment that are left over after paying her commission and paying for title, we wanted to use them towards our Oxford summer camp expenses. So
and that's due.
That's due soon. So so there is some urgency there, and she 100% understood that. And then what we asked her, okay, so what's the next step? In order for us to move forward, and what did she say then?
She said she would send over the listing agreement.
Mm-hmm.
And that came quickly also. She's like, I'll send it to you tomorrow. But you had already seen it in your or we both have already seen it.
She sees us.
Yeah. In our inbox at like 9 p.m.
Yeah, 9 p.m. that same evening.
So
and also
she was quick with it.
One thing that I loved about her is that I had originally CC'd you in the original email to her.
And she said,
and when
Michelle
she responded,
and
she addressed both of us. Exactly. She did not just ignore the person that was CC'd on the email, but she addressed both. And that just tells me that she has incredible people skills, that she's able to connect with people, and she was able to, do that during the call with you. There was this human connection of like, okay, Sophia, so tell me, so why are we looking to sell this property, quickly? And she was really looking forward to basically hearing about, what were the reasons behind that. And even though, she knew that you were a teenager, a kid, she did not dismiss you, and I love that about her as well. So I was incredibly pleased. The next morning, which happens to be actually today, at 7:29, we had, what did we have from her?
A text saying the listing agreement is in your inbox.
Yeah.
So if we hadn't checked our email, which we usually do, I check my email at night.
Yeah.
Just to see if I didn't miss anything during the day.
Yeah, and that text came in already at like 7:30 in the morning, and I love that she said, my
early.
kids, 7:30 in the morning, and my kids, she said, the night, last night, she said my kids were at a soccer practice, so that gave me the opportunity to get this, to get this done. And again, that just shows me that she's on top of it. She is driven, and that she took our conversation seriously. And more than anything, that she is great at follow-up, because this morning at 7:20, she had followed up. I then went ahead and proceeded to...
And she also made sure to say in the call, also with the follow-up, she's like, I'll always be communicating with you, so you know what's happening, because I know it takes a little bit longer than land takes a little bit longer to sell than a house, so keeping that communication is very important. So we're like, great, this is night and day compared to the
other gentleman.
God.
So another thing that she did was, the listing agreement. We signed it. She, sent it through DocuSign. You have printed a copy of it as well, and you have it. So Sophia now has a very good idea of how her listing is going to look on the MLS. We talked about part of those documentations were, the 10% commission. What else was included there? I think she also included a suggested title company. I mean, we're probably going to come, to the table with our own title company, but I like that she had also suggested a title company. In case, her seller didn't have one in mind. She has already an association with somebody that she knows that is going to be able to get basically that contract to the closing table, without any delays and problems. So I really like that as well, that she had that already lined up. And what else? So the general impression is, that we're excited. We're looking forward to working with her. And in 10 days time, we'll probably be in contact with her again and talking about our strategy for pricing if we have not seen any interest yet,
Engagement.
and possibly dropping that off so that we can get the sale quickly. So so all in all, what has been the experience so far, Sophia? What do you think of selling a property with a realtor in general? How does it feel for you? Do you think you could do this next time and actually do the phone call on your own and call and do everything on your own?
I think so.
Yeah?
I think I could. But I need to find a good realtor.
Yeah. And sometimes what you're going to find is that that you are going to, here it took us 2 calls. Maybe in the future it's going to take 3, 4 calls to find that Michael Jordan. But just because we got not a good result with the first phone call, it doesn't mean that we gave up. We went ahead and moved on to the second, and we had, you had, like you said, and you explained earlier, you had a few names right after ready to go, so that we couldn't, we didn't have to lose momentum. We didn't have to lose momentum. So so super excited, Sophia. I think you're on your way, and I'm looking forward to maybe coming up and talking here in the podcast about our experiences as we progress with the sale of this piece of land. Yeah. So with that, thank you so much for being with us here today, tuning in to Becoming Wealthy. If this was helpful to you, leave us a 5-star review. Please share the podcast with others that are looking to start investing in this amazing asset class of land. We have been quietly making millions now for years selling land in this way that we're teaching our own daughter. And so if you're looking to make some extra cash, make some extra money. Sometimes for many of our students, that extra money or that extra side hustle has become their main hustle, and they have been able to, retire from their corporate jobs and become full-time land investors. So, like I said, it's an exciting asset class, and looking forward to connecting with you all in the next episode of the podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in.